to have our content learning objective to be what's up here on the board. I can find text evidence to answer questions. All right. Today we're going to start with our high frequency words. Go ahead and write the word away. The student drove away from the school. Okay, let me see your board. Great, excellent. Go ahead and erase that. Okay, let's go ahead and sit up. The next word is wanted. They wanted to receive a good grade in reading. Wanted. Remember to say it slowly as you write it. Wanted. Okay, great. Everyone got that one right. Go ahead and erase it. Okay, the next word is a new one for us, and that word is giant. Okay, is there anything tricky about this word?
G sounds like J.
Okay, great. Anything else? Okay. All right. So let's slow check this one more time. Giant. Okay? The giant came down the beanstalk in Jack and the Beanstalk. Write the word giant. Okay, great. Go ahead and erase your boards. Okay, the next word is away. They walked away from the store.
It's called a sticker. Is there something you might need?
Okay. Go ahead and erase that. And the next word is down. She walked down the hill.
You need to come and sit up. Try to give her visual cues of what she needs.
Okay, great. Go ahead and erase that.
She's small enough.
Okay, great job on your high frequency words. Why don't you go ahead and give me your markers, please, and your erasers and whiteboards. Thank you. Great. Okay, today we are going to talk about the word scientist. So say it slowly as I write it. Scientist. Okay? All right? What's tricky about this word? Scientist. Anything? Walter, yes.
S and the C sounds like.
Make one sound? Okay, and what sound is that again? You just told us. What sound is that again? Great, yes. The S and the C together make one sound. Okay, then say the rest of it with me slowly. Scientist. Okay? The word scientist comes from the word science. Okay? So let's go ahead and spell that on the board here. Science. Okay? And it represents the principle that we can take the base word science, and in scientist, we erase the C and the E and add the T-I-S-T to make a new word. A scientist does experiments in his lab. Okay? All right. So the thing we want to remember with a word like science and scientist, that you can take one word and add endings to it to create new words. Okay? All right. Today we're going to start the new book called What's New at the Zoo. And I'm going to go ahead and walk you through the book. It's an informational nonfiction book. So what are a couple things we might expect in an informational nonfiction book that we've learned from our other nonfiction books? And if you need to reference our anchor chart up here, you can for characteristics or elements of a nonfiction chart. So Alyssa, what's one thing that you might find in this nonfiction book? An index? Okay. All right. Anything else? And a glossary. Okay, let's see if either of those predictions are correct. We look at the cover of this book and we see one of the features of a nonfiction book. There's a photograph, right? So we know from our chart, photographs are an element of a nonfiction book. Yes, Miguel?
There could be a table of contents and some new animals.
All right, great. And right here we have, as we open up to the title page, we have the table of contents. All right, and what does the table of contents tell us, Miguel? Okay, so we have a subheading here, which is another feature of our nonfiction book. And the one Miguel just read was the first one. What's new at the zoo? Babies. That's what's new at the zoo. Okay, very good. All right, as we go through this book, we are going to learn about new babies at the zoo. And here's a photograph here of a mother gorilla and her baby. And then we're also going to find out how, in the early days, zoos were much different than they are today. Okay, so we're going to learn some similarities between zoos from long ago and the ones today, and some differences. Okay, and even though this is a nonfiction book, sometimes we could have drawings in there. Okay, here's a picture of the London Zoo from about 100 years ago. And notice that we have captions down here. It says visitors at the London Zoo around 1880, and those captions give us some additional information. Okay, and here we are in the modern day Bronx Zoo in New York. We have two gorillas. And we can see that they're living outdoors in their natural habitat. Later on, there's also a map in the book that shows us where the visitors go in the zoo. And then at the end of the book, we find out how animals are cared for in zoos and why do we need zoos today. Okay? All right. One thing I want you to think about when we look here on page 2 and 3 is that the author is talking about gorillas in the zoo, okay? And it tells us on this page that the gorillas were raised in the wild, okay? So raised in the wild, does anyone know what that word might mean? What does it mean they were raised in the wild? Walter?
It means raised in the wild. That means they were from the jungle.
Okay, all right. And so the zoo here, when the gorillas have babies at the zoo, is that having babies in the wild? Yes? Well, let's think about that. You said that in the wild means they have them in the jungle. If you go to New York City where they have the zoo, would that be in the jungle or would that be at the zoo where they have their babies? At the zoo? Okay. So in the wild means that the animals are having babies in their natural habitat rather than in the zoo. Okay, well speaking of that word habitat, let's turn to page 9. Okay? Here we have a description of the animals, and it says that one of its habitats is a man-made rainforest. And habitats means the environment where the animals live. So at the Bronx Zoo, when you see the word habitats, you know that the people who created the zoo are trying to replicate where the animals normally live. And in this case, it's the rainforest. So habitats is our academic word for saying where the animals live. Okay? Today I want, as you read the book, to think about how zoos were different 100 years ago, like in the early days of the zoo, the London Zoo, compared with how they are today, for example, in the New York Zoo. So go ahead and get started on your reading. Go ahead and turn to page 2, and I will come around and listen to your reading. Okay. So go ahead and open up to page 2. Okay, go ahead and put your book flat on the table. All right, Walter, I'll listen to you first. Go ahead.
Babies. It was a good year for gorillas in 2010. 26 baby gorillas were born in zoos around the world. These babies are being raised the way baby gorillas are raised in the wild by their mothers. Gorillas in zoos haven't always been so lucky. For a long time, the only gorillas in zoos were ones that had been caught in the wild. They were taken from the mothers when they were young and sold to zoos where they lived in cages all alone. But zoos have changed. Today, most zoos have large outdoor areas where gorillas live together and raise babies. That's just one of the ways that zoos are working to keep animals happy and healthy.
Great job, Walter. I really like the way you looked to the end of the word to make sure that you were reading the word correctly. You did a really nice job on that. One thing I want you to think about as you continue to read, if you could pause at the punctuation. So when you come to a period, take a pause before you go on to help support your understanding. Let's read here together. Read this with me together. It was a good year for gorillas. Okay? Then we're going to pause, okay? And then go ahead and read this next one for me with the punctuation pausing.
2010, 26 baby gorillas were born in zoos around the world.
All right, very good. Okay, so be thinking about that as you continue to read, okay? All right, Alyssa, go ahead and listen to you. Okay, go ahead.
But zoos like the London Zoo were very popular. Most people in England had never seen lions or giraffes or gorillas before. They had only read about elephants and kangaroos at the zoo. They could see these amazing animals up close.
Okay, let's stop right here. Let's look back up here. Can you